Well, how much sucking up would I get for an extreme amount of money? These, of course, are lines from Pretty Woman. Hello there, this is Alex from Lights Camera Debate, and we'd love more subscribers here. We're up to 33 now. It would be great to get to 40 by April, which is only a week away. So hit the subscribe bell, hit the likes, and get all the content from the channel. Well, today I'm going to do a film I've never really thought about watching, but I asked ChatGPT what would be good films for the woman watcher because I'd like to get more women watching the channel. I'm not getting any at the moment. So I asked it and it came back with free films. It came back with Titanic, which we're going to do. It came back with Notting Hill, we're going to do. And it came back with Pretty Woman. And I've never really watched Pretty Woman because I didn't really like the stance of the fact that the whole film is based on the fact that a sex worker is wrong for actually just making money off somebody, but eventually changing her mind and falling in love with the client, which is not the done thing normally, basically. And that's what really annoyed me. But I thought I'd just give it a watch. And to be honest, it is very formulaic. It has, music controls. It's like music videos all the way through it, basically. It's films as though it's one continuous music video, basically. And it looks beautiful. I'm not saying it doesn't. I think it stands up as a good film because of the way Julia Roberts and Richard Gere just play off each other. They are brilliant together, and this whole concept that a sex worker would never fall in love with her client goes out the window by mid-range of the film. And I like the fact that when she's in LA, people just don't treat her right. She goes into that clothes shop and they treat her like scum, basically. And then because he goes and has all the money and the credit cards, and it's all about money in this film, basically, from start to finish. He wants somebody to look pretty and get the deal, which he changes his mind on, becomes more of a human. There's also a high amount, I personally think, of the Pygmalion, My Fair Lady sort of story in this film. Girl goes from being poor and doesn't have the class elements, and Edward turns her into a lady, basically. From the beginning of the film, where she's in street working clothes, until she becomes a lady and wears the gloves and the hats for the opera, basically, he takes her to. It also feels a little bit like the 50 Shades sort of films as well. That would probably be the new version these days of Pretty Woman. It's just the 50 Shades ones, which are terrible in my opinion. But Julia Roberts' performance is absolutely amazing. It has good cast around her playing other people, like her friend Kit is great, and the guy who runs the hotel becomes like a father figure to her. It's really good. Julia Roberts looks amazing. My whole problem with the film, I think, is that I would have gone. At the end, there's two endings. I don't think the director can make up his mind to stay with the ending where she goes to San Francisco and he goes back to New York, or the ending where they get the girl, the guy gets the girl, he goes up the fire, stares at a rose in his tea. I would have pulled him off the fire, basically. About halfway out, I would have thrown him off because he's so annoying by then. I understand why he has the nickname, because his face was looking like a gerbil, old Richard Gere. He just doesn't look great. I don't understand why everybody loved him personally. He's very annoying. He has sort of, altruistic sort of choices in his film, when he chooses not to treat her like a sex woman anymore. And that causes the big argument, doesn't it, when he does still do that, the polo match, when he tells his absolute arse of a lawyer friend who's his lawyer, who just sees her as an escort and a hooker, basically, which is horrible. And I think that's the problem with this film. It still has that element of, you cannot work to get out of where you are. That's the whole point of most people who do escort. They don't do it because they want to. They do it because it's a job, basically. And it's there's so much behind it. There's the paperwork, there's everything in the actual life, and people just get treated and seen as a stereotype image, unfortunately. And that's what this film still does. But there's some beautiful scenes. I think Julia Roberts is amazing as Vivian. She really fires up in a lot of scenes. She has her own personality. The problem is, I find that it is formulaic. It goes from one thing to the next, and it feels very much in the it is fabulous. It has that great Roy Orbison Pretty Woman theme, which I think the film is named after. But I sort of wondered, did they have the music first, then work the film around the music, unfortunately? Because you have that whole scene where the clothes shopping's done and she becomes the woman, and you have Pretty Woman in the background. It is a great scene. It's very, I like all the set pieces myself, but you can see it's very set pieces, and it's slightly very predictable. By about three-quarters way through the film, she's going to get the guy, basically. And I really wish they'd gone with the other ending, is where she goes off to San Francisco to become a college student. She gets the money to Kit so she can get out of being a hooker as well. Hate that word, so I'm going to have to say I absolutely hate that word. And she becomes, and she goes off to college. And you really hope that they'd go off and he'd just go back to being his normal self. He's had this apparition of being a nicer guy because of her. And then by the time he gets back to New York, he's back to normal. And it is such a product placement for him. You see all the shopping bags and the shops of Beverly Hills. There's all that. He drives around in a limousine. He has the private jet that takes him to San Francisco, and that's very funny. That thing. I think that's one of the funny lines in this film. It is a funny comedy film. That bit in the opera, the old dear doesn't hear her right. And that's quite funny, but. Overall, I did enjoy it more than I thought I was going to. I have to put my hands up and say I liked it more than I thought I was going to like it. I thought it was going to be annoying, which it isn't. I think the thing what keeps it together is the fact that Julia Roberts and Richard Gere just really go for each other. And when they have the arguments, they're brilliant. When they're just getting to know each other, it's just really good, off each other. And I don't know, did this win awards? Let me know, people, in the comments. I always reply to the comments. And I really like their interaction. Their interaction is fantastic. And you can see by about 3/4 of the way of the film, she's fallen in love with him, basically. So you know the outcome of this film. So you can't really be harsh on that. It is a traditional comedy. And they must have liked working together, because I believe they worked on... another film. Is it Runaway Bride? I think they worked on together again. But I would like to do... I can't decide to do either Closer or Erin Brockovich. I'd like to show you a film where Julia Roberts is being quite different to the sort of stereotype characters I think she got into by the late 90s, early 90s, and then just went a bit more interesting. And that's... I think she didn't win her Oscar to Erin Brockovich, which is such a shame. It seems you have to do a lot of work in Hollywood to get an Oscar, and you get one in the end, basically. I don't think she won one to Erin Brockovich. But, yeah, I was surprised. I did enjoy it. I'm not going to say I didn't when I did. It was a good watch. It is definitely a music video film, and lots of references. You've got Roy Orbison, you've got her singing to Prince in the bath. There's lots of actual references to the time period. Yeah, it does feel quite dated in the late 70s, early 80s, this film. It feels very of that time, by the clothes, by the music. But it's an enjoyable watch still. And would I watch it again? If there was nothing on, or over Christmas I've had a few drinks, yeah, maybe I might give it a roll again. So it was more enjoyable than I thought it was going to be. Another comment I'd like to know in the comments, so please leave a comment. I'm just using natural light. It's about 5ish here in the UK, and I've opened the curtains, and you just see me with natural light in this video. And let me know, is it better than the last couple of videos? Let me know. So future videos coming up will of course be, if I get there on Friday, Project Hail Mary, and I want to see The Faraway Tree as well. Very nice film, looks good, and it's written by the guys who did Paddington. I love the Paddington films. I must do those for the channel as well. I still haven't seen Paddington in Peru yet, so I need to do that. I might get my brother to buy the 4K box set, which you can get in America, which actually in America, this is an interesting one. In America, the 4K box set has audio description, but in the UK, there is no audio description on the Blu-ray, because my middle brother Oliver, has got I bought it for him for Christmas, and there's no audio description. But if you buy the American 4K box set, you can get on Amazon, which does play on 4K players in the UK, it has the audio description. Now, the reason for that is when they brought it out in the UK and America, there was 2 different dates, and the one in America got delayed, so they obviously had more time to do the audio description. So I think I will get that for Easter and watch that. So yeah, Paddington in Peru would be a good one to do for you. Plus I love Paddington 1 and 2, which I think are still on BBC iPlayer under their film, because they had it on a lot at Christmas and they put half the money up for it anyway. So that might get done soon. Definitely Faraway Tree and Project Hail Mary, and probably Notting Hill and Titanic in the next week or two. So that's the plan. Look out for it. Please hit the bell so you get all the upcoming stuff. Subscribe would be great. So that's all, folks. Enjoy.